If you look at a kid before they get to us, it's very common for them to have the weight of the world on their shoulders and they don't even realize it. They've been in survival mode for so long that they don't really know what it's like to have that stable housing, knowing where they were going to live, how long they would be somewhere, if the people in their life were going to stay there. They're very resilient, but they have had such big walls built up from their trauma that they're not going to allow anyone to help them. So I feel like when they get to us and understand that they are going to be there for as long as they want, they are able to take a deep breath. So the goal is for them to show that they can do it, they can live on their own. Something we're always excited about and looking for is turning adversity into something beautiful that other people can grow from and lean into. Showing the kids that they're safe, showing up and thinking about them has a huge impact on them.
Something I've come to realize at a young age is how life feels like a full circle. From childhood to adulthood, and then many of us, the goal becomes finding a way to live with that same joy, curiosity, and freedom we had as kids. I've had the chance to be in rooms with incredibly successful people, and what I've noticed is that deep down, a lot of them are just trying to get back to that childlike state. But with wisdom in this turnaround, now, I've got my own ideas of what being a kid or being a teen is like. But Jensen, as a director in development of Get Real program and the Fort Smith Children's Shelter Foundation, I'd love to hear your take. In 2025, what do you think a healthy, supportive life should look like for these young people, especially for those transitioning from childhood to adulthood? That was a mouthful, but I got through it and I did it. Welcome.
Yeah, I'm so glad to be here. I think the biggest thing, so all of the kids we serve through Get Real are between 18 and 21 years old. So they are technically young adults, but they really are kids. They were forced to grow up really in survival mode. They really never got the chance to have that carefree childhood that so many of us think of when we look back on that. They lived childhoods of not knowing where they were going to live, how long they would be somewhere, if the people in their life were going to stay there. So I think for us, having that healthy transition really means having the tools and the confidence to be able to take steps forward, even if it's just the little things. You know, we try to celebrate every little thing with them, but really leaning into that community aspect of it.
For sure. Okay, let's start with how you got to where you are now, because I don't really feel like this is maybe something you can stumble upon without passion.
Sure.
It seems like it's very passion driven. So how do you get to where you are?
Yeah, I think, like I said, really that community aspect of my life kind of played into getting me where I am now. It was through a family friend that I found this job, and it was not something I really had been looking for necessarily, but I can't imagine doing anything else at this point. I feel like it fell into my lap at the perfect timing, and it has, really brought about a passion that I didn't really know might have been there beforehand. Yeah. So it's something that I think my friends get kind of tired of hearing me talk about it sometimes, but my husband and I joke that we have our kids and then I have my work kids. It is something I truly love. Okay,
so when you are getting on your friend's nerve talking about it, what are you actually talking to them about? Obviously, we don't have to mention names,
sure,
and specifics and things like that. But yeah, what are those conversations looking like?
And I really think it is very similar to probably how you and I talk about our own kids. I'm like, oh my gosh, you can't believe who got a job interview today, or they passed their driver's test. The little things. I mean, I'm come to, be very sentimental about those little successes. I think a lot of these kids have never had someone to really support them in that or cheer them on. And so everyone at the shelter has taken on that role of being that cheerleader for them. And And so sometimes I do think they enjoy it because they're like, oh, I feel like I know all these kids just from hearing about them. But I do talk about them a lot.
Yeah, that's so funny. Okay, how long have you been there? That's what I was trying to ask. How long have you been there now?
About a year and a half.
Okay.
Yeah.
And now that you've been there for a full year, looking back, because you're from here, you went to high school here. Looking back now on your high school years of life, how has it changed your view on now seeing what kids actually go through who live here? And then you notice, oh my gosh, this person that I went to high school with was going through that same thing.
Oh, yeah.
And I had no idea. And the reason why you're able to identify that is because you see these indicators in these kids' lives, young adults' lives. So kind of tell me about that dynamic, because I'm sure you've noticed quite a few things.
Oh, yeah. It's definitely opened my eyes to, I mean, you know, how impactful social media is these days and all of the things that go into that. And that is something I've thought about. I'm like, I wonder who in my own class in high school was going through these things and I had no idea. I mean, we get calls every single day about a kid needing a place to go, whether it's a kid in foster care or who's homeless, or that might be a coexisting thing for them, you know. And I do think about that. I'm like, there's probably so many people I had no idea. And at that point, I don't know that I could have done much about it, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
But I do think it's something more people need to be aware of or even just think about in their day-to-day lives.
What was the first time that you had the chance to really like have a personal, rememberable experience for you with a young adult that you now will remember for the rest of your life going forward? What was that moment and what happened?
We have one girl. We all love her on campus. She's very outgoing and just fun to be around. But there was one day she came, and I'm not as hands-on as all of the like life coaches and things, but she came to me and she said, hey, can you come teach me how to do my makeup? And I was like, I'm not the best, but sure, I'll do that. So we sat and went through all of her makeup stuff, and I did her makeup and everything. And she was like, you know, I went into foster care when I was 6 years old. I never had a mom, but she's like, now that I'm here, I feel like I have 5 moms. She was like, I really feel like this is where I'm meant to be. And that always stands out to me. Just giving them that place where they can feel safe and feel like they truly belong is kind of what we're all about. So that really stands out to me.
Yeah. That made me want to kind of tear up. Okay. Walk me through what a kid looks like before they get to you, because I'm really curious of, you know, I was talking about, you probably notice indicators now looking back on your life are like, oh my gosh, this person was going through the same thing, I think, because I noticed that this kid or all the kids who come in have the same thing that's happening in their life. So what are the lifestyles of these young adults coming in? What is it looking like before? And how do they get to be a part of what you're doing? Like, how does that transition happen? Yeah. I guess let's start there. And I have plenty more questions.
Okay. I think that if you look at a kid before they get to us, it's very common for them to have the weight of the world on their shoulders and they don't even realize it. They've, you know, like I said, been in survival mode for so long that they don't really know what it's like to have that stable housing or even just the people in their lives that are there consistently. So I feel like when they get to us and understand that they are going to be, you know, be there for as long as they want, they are able to, you know, take a deep breath and relax. Many kids who get to this point in foster care have either lived in shelters for years. Some of them have truly been homeless, living in hotels or on the street. Some of them are coming from foster homes, but it's not super common, the kids I've seen, just because of their age.
What's the, speaking on age, I'm so glad you said that. I don't want to stop you. Remember where you are, but what is like the lowest age that, you know, y'all get introduced to?
They have to be 18 to join us. They can stay in foster care in Arkansas until they're 21. So we really try to take advantage of those 3 years. And it doesn't, I mean, it sounds like a long time, but it goes by so fast. But they can come to us any point in that age range. A lot of them come the day they turn 18, or they're calling us before they turn 18, trying to figure out where they're going to go. And they do have to apply to our program, and we do an interview. It takes a lot for us to not take a kid, or if we're just full. And we had one kid, we interviewed him a couple months ago, and he was coming from Hope Campus, had been living there for a while. And he was like, I thought I could do it. I thought once I turned 18, I'd have it all figured out. He's like, obviously I didn't. He was like, but I don't know what I did to deserve this. And we were like, that's like, we want you here. We got to change your mindset. You deserve everything. And he's doing great. He's applying for jobs and going to school and all the things. So we really do try to do as much as we can during that period. Most of them come to us. They don't have an ID. They don't have a bank account. It's rare for them to have finished high school or have a GED. So we try to help them do that. We help them apply to jobs. But, if they've either come from a house where, not all of those things are important. They might have come from a place that they never saw someone show up for a job, or even just be somewhere consistently. So really teaching them how to show up for themselves and for other people is a big thing. We help them schedule their own doctor's appointments. A lot of them have never gotten to schedule a haircut themselves, little things like that, teaching them how to use a dishwasher, cook meals. I mean, there's so much that we really have to kind of try to make up for. And it is a team effort, and we have so many amazing community partners and groups that help us do that. So it takes a village, even though they're a little older.
I want to go back and touch on that here shortly with the community partners and what that looks like. But you said capacity. How many can you actually take on? And is this all at one location? Where is the location? Yeah.
So we have a dorm building that can hold 8 young adults. So we have a boys' side and a girls' side. And they have their own bedroom. A lot of times this is the first time they've had their own bed. Or they have their own bed a lot of times, but their own bedroom. Most shelters, are 3 or 4 kids in a room in a lot of foster homes.
Well, you said, not to stop you again, but you said bed, they have their own bed, but that's a big problem here in Fort Smith. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Yeah. The amount of kids who live in Sebastian County who actually don't have beds is very surprising.
And
if you actually look at
And we have a lot of kids who are couch surfers. So they've just been staying with friends, one place to the next while they figure things out. So it really is the first time they've been able to have their own space, and they're able to decorate it how they want, and, have fresh bedding and all of those things. So in the dorms, they share a bathroom and a living room, but they each have their own bedroom. And then we also own an apartment complex that is on our campus. So the goal is for them to show that they can do it. They can live on their own. They kind of have to earn the apartment, just show that they can keep their space clean. They can hold a job. They want to be there. So the goal is for them to work toward that apartment.
How big is the apartment? How many people can go to the apartment?
It's a 1 bedroom, 1 bath. They each get their own apartment room. I think we have 9 available. Not open right now, but we have 9 apartments used for DHS kids. So they learn how to pay bills and, actually maintain their own space a little bit more than in the dorms. They are a little bit more responsible there. Since we've started this, we've realized how needed this service is. A lot of times in literature and different things, this age group is called the invisible kids, just because people think about when they're little and they think about when they're on the streets, but they don't think about this period where you really have that opportunity to turn them in the right direction. So we do as much as we can. I wish we could take every kid in.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so really your day-to-day, you're working with about, you said 8, so 9, so 18 17?
Yeah.
Okay. And so what does it look like then over, you said 3-year period is all you really have to work with. How fast are people coming in, coming out? Like how many would you see in a year? Would we have the opportunity to take? What's the life expectancy of a young adult coming in to leaving?
It really depends on the kid. We have some who have been there. They come in the day they turn 18 and they stay up until they turn 21. And those are the kids who, really have that willingness to learn and lean into the program. Other kids, they come in the day they turn 18 and they're gone a week later. I mean, we can't make them stay because they are adults. They get to have that choice.
Where are they going?
A lot of them are meeting boyfriends or girlfriends that they want to move out with. Some of them, they haven't had contact with their parents, their biological parents, until their 18th birthday, because that's how the legal things were written, that they couldn't have that contact. So a lot of their parents are reaching out on their 18th birthday. So a lot of them, think that they can make it work and go back to their families. And sometimes that works. A lot of time it doesn't. And if they call us back, we'll take them if we have room. But, we stay so full that we don't always have the space. And
Yes.
we try to tell them that up front. Like, you have the choice to leave, but we want you here. And, you need to at least learn about what we can do for you. So it really depends on how long they stay. I mean, we see everything.
Yeah. Okay, but also if there's a positive correct me if I'm wrong, I'm just asking, is there a positive aspect to them leaving early? Because I would think when you first say, 18 to 21, I would think ideally the goal would be that they get to a self-sustaining point where they can leave earlier because they're so sustainable and go on and, maybe get a better job or maybe move into a bigger apartment or, so like, is that a thing as well? Or like,
It can be. So if they are in DHS custody, so they can stay in what's called extended foster care until they're 21. So once they turn 18, they get that board payment from DHS themselves rather than a foster parent. So we have kids that have been with us for a few years and they are also working. So they're really just kind of saving up that money. We've had kids save $10,000, $20,000, buy a car, save up to, move to a bigger place. So there are perks both ways. To stay in extended foster care, there are some things they have to just follow, follow those different regulations and things. So staying with us as long as they can really is a benefit to them.
Yes.
In
Okay.
different ways. And then we have a few alumni that live in our apartments, and they're kind of our peer mentors, just to show the kids, like, you can do it, living proof to them that they're capable of it. A lot of them have never been told that, or a lot of them have that internal issue of not believing in themselves. And like I said, they don't think they deserve these things. So really seeing someone else do it is a huge thing for them.
Yes.
So I do think staying there has a lot of benefits for them.
Yeah. How many, I was going to ask, because you said they're not, I just did an interview before and we were talking about kids with autism. So in my head, I want to say caretakers. They're not caretakers. What do they call again? The
life coaches.
The life coaches.
Yes.
How many life coaches do you have?
We have 3 life coaches. So each kid is assigned to a life coach, and they do one-on-one meetings. They do budgeting. They do driving lessons. I don't do that. It's too scary for me.
You're like, I need the driver license.
I probably need to take advantage of that. They do cooking classes with them. They teach them how to vacuum and really clean their rooms. A lot of them have never done that. So the life coaches, they really do it all. I mean, they deserve all the credit in the world.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, walk me through the day-to-day life of what a young adult's life looks like there. Let's give them a chance to where they're like they're already in there. They've gotten through all like the onboarding process type thing. So let's say like a year in, what does probably a normal day-to-day life look like for a young adult?
Yeah, it's hard to say because they are each so different, but a lot of them are going to school in the mornings. The ones that are in the GED program, I think they go like a couple hours a day. And it is self-paced, so that's nice that they can really tailor that to their schedules. A lot of them work. So some of them that are in school and working, they'll go in the mornings and then work in the afternoons or evenings. And then we do life skills classes once a week. So those range from personal hygiene, safe relationships, cooking, financial literacy, all the things. And then we try to do social gatherings as much as we can, whether that's a cookout with a local church that comes in, or we're going to do an Easter egg hunt for them. They'll do anything for food. So we try to bring in, you know, pizza here or there. We have what's called our HQ building, and that's really where everything happens. They come hang out there. They know there's always snacks there if they need it, or if they just need to get out of their own space for a little bit and be around other people. You know, it really is the hub of the campus.
It's kind of like I remember when I was at Euler, we had kind of like the lobby area where we go hang out, play pool, go to commissary and get snacks, watch TV. Sounds like that is the vibe.
Yeah, we try to make it. You know, a lot of them who have been in shelters, it is very rigidly structured. Like a bell is rung and they have to go to dinner time. You know, their calendar has been filled down to the minute for them. So we try to make it a little bit more grown up for them. And so it does feel like kind of a teeny tiny college campus. You know, we have the dorm and we have HQ and we have a gym. So we try to really meet them where they are and help them grow in the best way possible.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so let's break down the organizations and let's talk about that and your community partners. I'm learning with the audience who's listening now. So just treat me like I don't know anything because I don't. So let's talk about Get Real, because Get Real, is it separate? Same thing? Like how is it? So there's Fort Smith Children's Shelter Foundation, then there's Get Real. Then also there's the community partners. I know you just said you partner with a church for something. Break down what it actually is. Okay. And then who are your partners, your normal partners that you do stuff with week to week, maybe even just once a year. Like I know you do like Havana Nights, that type of thing. So like talk about it all.
Yeah. So Get Real is a program of the Fort Smith Children's Shelter. So the Children's Emergency Shelter was founded in 1997 and functioned as truly an emergency shelter. It was for kids who were taken from their house or wherever in that emergency crisis situation. Typically, they would be at the shelter for no longer than 30 days before they were placed somewhere else. And then in 2016, we started Get Real because we realized these kids that were at the shelter the day they turned 18, they were just walking out the door with nowhere to go. And so we realized that it was a need at that point. And then over the next few years, funding through DHS and everything was changed a little bit. So emergency shelters kind of had the choice to either change who they were serving or to shut down. So at that point, we served some of the older kids it was still through the children's shelter, but it was for kids who were coming out of mental hospitals or sometimes like
psych places.
Yeah, or sometimes detention centers. But we found that a lot of times kids who weren't coming from those places were thrown into that because they didn't have anywhere else to go. And it was kind of re-traumatizing for everyone. Yes. So we did a study at that point and realized that the biggest need in our area was for the people aging out. So we fully converted to doing that. And even since then, you know, I think the need, I don't know if it's just grown or if, you know, we're just becoming more aware of it as people are aware of us and everything. So it's kind of an umbrella. There's the Children's Shelter Foundation and then Get Real is part of that. Okay. So the kids on campus are all in DHS. So DHS helps fund their, like they pay a nightly payment, I guess.
So they take care of their stay with you. DHS does. Okay.
Yes.
So that's a benefit.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. For them staying with you up to 21.
Yeah. So if they stay with us, that's one of the kind of boxes they have to check to get their own board payment. They have to be in a place kind of approved by DHS to get that money.
Okay. So that's a big deal because, correct me if I'm wrong, the different perspective is, yes, these kids, young adults, can go out and make their own money and pay for their own living. But the benefits, not only do they get these life skills that they're learning and all the different other things, the community, but their living is being covered and they can make whatever additional money they make, they can go out and save up while they're still getting life skills. So it's like you can go out on your own and you're on your own and you have to make your own money, or you can stay here where it's kind of like, you're living on your parents' money. It kind of feels like for a second while you're also able to make your own money. That's the big difference.
Yes, it's kind of a cushion for them to build up those savings.
Okay. That's a big deal.
Yeah, and so DHS, there's a lot of different things they'll help pay for too while they're in extended foster care. So we teach them as much as we can. There's not a huge reason for them to leave us before that point. A lot of them just have never had that choice. So they want to take control and do that. And they learn from that too in different ways. But we really try to keep them there as long as we can.
Okay. So then funding wise, just so I can clearly understand where money goes in and out. Okay. So DHS is covering board for the Get Real young adults who come in. But then what happened to the Arkansas Fort Smith Children's Foundation? Like, is it just now like in between, and what does it function as now today?
So everything is still under the Children's Shelter Foundation, and Get Real is just a program of that.
What other programs, I guess?
It's the only one.
Okay, I understand now. Okay.
Yeah. But we didn't want to completely change the name because, you never know what will come in the future. And it is such a recognized name and everything. And while DHS does pay for them to stay there, it's not, it's not what's, moving us forward or anything. So we really do count on the community's support for our growth and our kids' growth. And like you said, we have some churches who are consistent supporters. Harvest Time and Grace they're with us and talking with us like weekly pretty much about what they can do, who they can bring out to be with our kids. And then we have so many donors and sponsors and everything that help us through Havana Nights and in-kind donations, whether it's shampoo for the kids, just different things. Havana Nights is our big fundraiser of the year, and that's where we get most of our budget, or not most of it, a big chunk of it. So that is, something we're always excited about and looking for people who want to join.
Yeah. I love Havana Nights. It's so funny to me because like it already is fun, but like people just grown wealthy people, they go there and they just let loose. And they get to do it in the name of the kids. They're like, I'm doing this for the kids.
It has the name Party with a Purpose for a reason.
Yes.
I actually had a meeting today about some exciting things we're doing this year. So, like I said, we're always looking forward to that. And thankfully it is such a recognized thing, in our community. And I think community is one of the words I've used most so far, but it's the biggest thing I've learned in the past year is how strong our community is and how quickly they are to jump to the support. There was, I can't remember what it is now, but there was something we needed a couple weeks ago. And I was like, well, let me make a few calls. And we had it the next day. It's just incredible. Like the support and the excitement people have about helping us.
Yeah. Okay. So you said Harvest Time, which is my church. Let me ask you this, because I know they partner with someone in the community and it's with foster care. I just don't know if it's for your program or not. But they recently, the church did and funded a kind of like a home for young adults or kids to meet with their parents. That was a safe place. Was that with you?
No, that's The Call.
Yes.
Yeah. So they are more for foster families. And I think that they do a lot of education and preparation for those host families. And then also like the kids and their biological families.
Yes. Okay.
But we all work together on different things. So
yeah. What does it look like for someone to support, or organization or individual? What does that normally look like for them to support? Is it so do I say get real?
sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes. It's a mouthful. I know.
Wait, so people typically say the whole thing all together?
No, they say one or the other, but
Okay.
I always say both. But yes,
Yeah,
get real.
Okay.
I think that's one of the great things is we have so many different ways to get involved. We always are looking for monetary donations. Those things go toward, we're hosting a prom for the kids, things like that.
That sounds fun.
Yeah, we'll see. Different social things for them, or summer outings. And then, Havana Nights this year will mostly go toward our expansion and things. But then there's also, bringing snacks to the kids. So we have somebody who brings in Sonic drinks for them every now and then. We're always looking for mentors. That's a huge one. Really just, even if it is a monetary donation, that shows our kids that the community is showing up for them. And they do see that, it might not be directly, but they're like, oh, we got this new, I don't know.
Yeah.
This new thing,
for sure.
Something that must mean someone's thinking about us.
Yeah. Yeah. Little things like that seem like they go very far for these kids because they feel forgotten.
Yes. And we had a group from Mercy come in a couple weeks ago, and they did an incredible job on our landscaping, on our flower beds and everything. They planted flowers and trimmed the bushes and everything. And just things like that, showing the kids that their space is being taken care of, that they're safe. Like I said, people are showing up and thinking about them has a huge impact on them.
Yeah, for sure. Jensen, I have so many questions. I'm trying to figure out which one do I want to ask. Okay, let me go here. Okay, so with a lot of different because the DHS is state government. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so with a lot of government funded organizations, they're not really able to tap into and take advantage of sharing and pushing religion. Are y'all able to do that in your program? And if so, do you know why you're able to? What's the difference? And how much are you able to share? And what does that look like?
We don't push that on the kids at all. We have so many different walks of life, backgrounds. Some of them are interested, and that is one of the great things about having these church partnerships. Usually they just come out and hang out with the kids and get to know them, but we have had kids during these events that have asked different group members to pray over them, or sometimes they'll make those connections and they'll get a ride to church. So while it's not something we specifically do on campus, since we are federally funded, we don't limit them on what their interests are. Yeah.
And so to understand, is it basically, it sounds like it's the same way as school. Like if they open up the conversation, then you can have it, but you can't start the conversation.
Pretty much. They ask us questions about every aspect of life.
Yeah.
So we're happy to chat with them, but usually, that's not something they typically want to talk to us about. Not that we don't,
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But it is a great opportunity for them to match with a mentor who might want to tap into that a little bit more. Or like I said, get a ride to church or join a youth group or anything. So there's plenty of options that we support, but it's just not something we do on campus.
Do you currently feel like y'all are operating as in you're meeting needs, but you can go further? Or do you feel like you are where you need to be and you'll stay where you are for a long time? I'm not even talking about expansion and being able to take more kids. Overall, what does the future look like?
I think that even just having more community members really understanding what we do. We have some people who have sponsored or donated to us, and they, for, years even maybe, and they don't fully understand it. That has been a big part of my role, is really educating people and advocating for these kids. So my wish would be that everyone, just knew us by name and knew who we're serving. And, a lot of people, once they learn that, it kind of changes their perspective and they want to become more involved. And like I said, we get calls nearly daily of kids and young adults needing a place to go. So I do wish we could do more. Mm-hmm. I do think that we, serve the kids that we have to the best of our ability. And, they are so resilient. They've been through so much, but if they don't have that component of willingness to learn or to maybe change their lifestyles a little bit, it is a little difficult to give them everything they could get out of it. Mm-hmm. But I do think that we provide them every opportunity and tool that they could use.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, I'm about to dream with you for a second. Okay, are you ready? Okay, so in my head, when I think about what does it look like for the future, mm-hmm. my mind has ideas. So could this be a possibility? So let's say you are getting more money, you're getting higher donations, all the money you want. Could it possibly look like them being able to see so many more different aspects of life? So an example is, I think it's so important for young adults and kids, so twice at least, like when they're a kid and then a young adult, to experience the world outside of the United States. So I think it would be super cool for like the young adults to be able to go like on a trip or something and help overseas on just projects. They're not like mission trips, but like a project or whatever it is that you can legally do,
Sure.
So like if you had all the money for that, just to give them experience of how big the world actually is and what they can do, where they can't, like, because it really does change the way you see life.
Oh, yeah.
So could that look like the future? That's just a small thing.
Yeah.
It could even be like, let's just go to St. Louis and do like a project and, or whatever, just go and see and take a tour, different things like that, showing them different aspects of life.
Yeah. So we, last year raised money for them to go on a trip. In our heads, it was going to be something more, not out of the country, but something a little broader. And we let them vote, and they wanted to go to Six Flags. So we took them on a day trip, but they acted like they were
That's amazing.
in Disney World or something. I don't know. It was
Wait, what were their options?
Anywhere. We said, where do y'all want to go? And they said
funny.
Six Flags. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And they had the best time. I mean,
That's amazing.
But you have to think they've never been to the water park, or a lot of them have never been out of Arkansas. So it really was kind of a once in a lifetime trip for them. And so that's one thing I said, we try to raise money to do all these extra things for them and support them where we can. I don't know where they're going to choose to go this year on their trip, but
That's hilarious. Okay. So can you tell me a moment that made you very, very proud to witness between maybe one of the mentors and the young adults, or even a personal experience that you had that you'll never forget? I know I asked you this a little bit earlier, mm-hmm. in a different way, but I mean, something you even just witnessed from afar, like a transition of them coming in from knowing who they were to who they either walked out as or the person they were becoming.
Two different scenarios come to mind. When I first started there, we have one young man who's been there a couple years. And when I first started, so this was last year, we had an application come through, and, a lot of these kids know each other from being at different shelters or, in foster homes or wherever at the same time. And we said, hey, do you know this kid? He's from the same hometown as you. And he said, oh, that's funny. I have a brother by that name, but we were separated when we were kids. And so we did some digging and came to find out that these two boys were put, I think they had 6 siblings. All of these kids were put into foster care when these two boys were, I think, 6 and 7 years old, and they were put in separate homes and then went to separate shelters and grew up completely different lives. One of them had been adopted and it was labeled a failed adoption. He went back into foster care. And they hadn't talked to each other since that day they went into foster care. And so the first time that they saw each other in over 10 years was on our campus on move-in day. And I mean, you could walk in right now and know which two I'm talking about. They look alike, sound alike. They play video games together. They cook together. They really are best friends. So I think that's kind of a testament of growing from these things they've been through. Even though they had such different childhoods, they can kind of bond over that. And they've come to know each other, you know, differently, but as brothers for sure.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. That's pretty crazy. Wait, so how long did it take for them to realize that, because you said you had to do some digging. Did they realize day one and then it was just speculation and then you confirmed it? Or
we asked their workers, their DHS workers, and were able to confirm it pretty quickly. And it was a little awkward when they first met. You know, we wanted it to be sunshine and rainbows, but it was kind of two strangers meeting each other. So it took them a while to form that relationship and get to know each other. But they, like I said, you could walk in and know exactly who I'm talking about now.
Sounds like big personality.
Yes.
That's hilarious. Okay. So now we're going to be moving on into the second layer. We got to know the organization. We got to know her part in the organization and honestly, the community's part as well. So now we're going to get to know you a little bit more. Are you ready to cry? I'm joking. You're not going to cry.
We'll see.
Okay. If I had been quietly watching your journey over the past 2 years, how would I describe the person who's sitting in front of me today?
I've definitely learned more than I could have imagined or prepared for in the past couple of years. I've learned to lead with my head and my heart. And that can be difficult, you know, in this field sometimes.
What does that mean?
I've learned to have more difficult conversations, whether it's with the kids or with different people, but also really how to advocate for these kids. You know, I've learned how to tell their stories and, you know, how to build on that and help them a little better.
Yeah. That's cool. Sweet. I like that. Your head and your heart. That's sweet. Okay. So, how would your daily life look different if money was no longer a concern? This is for you personally, not the organization. All these are for you personally.
Okay. I think I'd definitely travel a little bit more.
Where would you go?
I don't know. Everywhere.
Where have you been so far?
A lot of places. I've always wanted to go to Greece. I haven't been there. I think that would probably be top of my list.
That's the top of my wife Lauren's list as well.
Yeah.
Greece, Italy.
Yes.
Just go do the whole thing. Rome.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep. All of the above.
Okay. If your soul had an age, what would it be and why?
Oh, that's a good one. That's hard to put a number on it. I think being a working mom with such little kids, you know, keeps me young.
Yeah.
You know,
sure.
They are so full of curiosity and questions.
How many kids?
I have 2 right now.
Mm-hmm.
I have a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old. About to have another one.
Yes.
So keeps me on my toes.
Uh-huh.
I kind of have to be energized some days, even if I don't want to be. So I think that part keeps me young, but then it's also taught me to really slow down and appreciate, you know, even the little moments a little bit more. So I feel like that part of me has become wiser since becoming a mom. So I don't know a number, but
Yeah. No, it's okay. If you lost everything tomorrow, what's the first thing you do?
I think that's another great thing about our community. That is sadly something we see, you know, people truly experience this. And I think the people in our town and state wouldn't hesitate to help out. Mm-hmm. So I guess I'd start calling friends, get a cup of coffee. I don't know, start rebuilding.
Yeah. That, you know, that is, you have a unique perspective to that answer for sure than a lot of other people. So that's really cool. What's one thing you wish more people knew about you?
I'm a pretty open book. I am very sentimental. I think I've said that. You know, like I said, the things these kids say to me are some of them have given me artwork, and even though they are 18, that means just as much
Yes.
as a little kid giving you something. So I value handwritten notes and different things. Like even just at work and personally, I always remember the people that have, dropped everything to help out or just checked in. So all those little things.
What's your love language? Do you know them? You remember them?
I took the quiz, but I don't remember.
I can tell you what they are. Maybe you can tell me what you resonate with. Okay, so it's physical touch, words of affirmation, gifts, service, and there's one more. Stop yelling at me in the comments. I'm about to get it. The last one is, I think I said acts of service, but okay. Physical touch, gifts, words of affirmation. I can't remember. Which one of those four then?
I definitely show my love with gifts. I love little surprises or leaving something on somebody's desk.
That's what it sounded like, but I wanted to...
I was going to say, I feel like I also appreciate that. And then acts of service, like I said, I remember every little thing.
Okay. I was thinking words of affirmation was pretty, like, number 2.
I like them all. I'll take it all.
Yeah. Okay. That's it. You made it through. You didn't shed a tear. Okay, let's do a quick game right quick before we wrap up. This is going to be fun.
Okay.
It's called Arkansas Grown. I'm going to throw in 5 questions. Some are just fun. Some are a couple tied to work. Just answer them, whatever comes to mind first.
Okay.
Okay, you ready? Mm-hmm. What's something unique about Arkansas that you wish the rest of the world could experience at least once?
I think it's how passionate different people are, and there's so many different opportunities to lean into different passions, whether it's sports, nature, art. I think that's something that you don't really understand until you get to experience that. I went to college in Fayetteville, and, I really learned a lot about myself during that time, obviously, but I got to see all of my friends too, going through the same thing. And, there's so many opportunities to really dive into all of those different interests. And I think that it might be everywhere, but it seems special in Arkansas.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, I agree. What's one soft skill you think should be taught in every youth support program across the country?
I would definitely say emotional regulation. It's something most of our kids do not have. They don't have that skill of how to really process emotions or step away if they need to. And it's something I've come to value more as I'm teaching my own kids that. And I think that while I'm teaching them, I'm growing myself in that area. And, we try to teach my personal children and my work kids. We try to give them different tools and ways to grow into that. But that would be my number one.
I wholeheartedly agree with you. Yeah, I was just talking to someone today, and we were having a conversation. I was telling them, I go to therapy, and they kept talking about, well, I hope your therapist is giving you good advice. I'm like, it has nothing to do with advice. What they're doing is helping me to understand and recognize what I'm feeling and how to communicate those feelings.
Right.
It's very difficult to do that. I'm a 28-year-old man who didn't grow up with a terrible life.
Sure.
And it's hard for me to do that. And so I can only imagine if you go through situations as traumatizing as these young adults and as their childhoods were, how much more difficult it could be to just identify, what am I feeling? Where am I at? And then respond.
Right.
A lot of times you don't even know where you're at. I mean, that's where I am currently. I don't even know.
Sure.
Lauren would be like, "Oh, are you okay?" And I'm like, I say, "Oh yeah," but I don't even know.
Right.
And so I can only imagine going through so much, even now with them in your program. I'm sure it brings out even, because it's challenging, right? The schedule, getting to know even other kids who go through similar things. I'm sure they butted heads. Yes. It's hard to do that while also being challenged.
Yes.
Because I'm not being as challenged right now as they are in their seasons of lives.
And a lot of them were kind kind of forced to go to traditional talk therapy for so long that they do have negative feelings about it. You know, they didn't have the choice to go, which is a little different than if you are choosing to be there. And so we encourage it. They're not required to do it, but we do encourage it. Most of our kids have gotten back into it. And then we also offer recreational therapy classes. We call it weekly wellness, so it doesn't have the word therapy in it for them. But it does teach a lot of those soft skills in more fun ways. They're playing games or they're painting or writing. And we have a walking trail on campus. So we try to give them, we have a punching bag. They love that.
I'm sure.
So we try to give them physical tools as well for them to grow in that area.
For sure. If you had to trade lives with any Arkansan for 1 week, past or present, who would it be and who would you choose? Who would it be and why?
So she wasn't actually born in Arkansas, but she spent a good chunk of her childhood in Arkansas. It's Maya Angelou.
Oh, artist?
Poet, writer.
Poet, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think, especially in this field, she is the perfect example of turning adversity into something beautiful that other people can grow from and lean into. She has one poem called Still I Rise, and it's about overcoming these challenges because of who she is, what she looks like.
Yes.
And I think that just even having her insight on those things would be incredibly impactful.
Great answer. And I'm very surprised I know who you're talking about, but I know exactly who you're talking about.
You did great.
What's the Fort Smith hidden gem that more locals need to visit or support?
So I know what my son would say on this one, and I'm going to go with his answer. It would be Garrison Goodies.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, which I also love, but it is his favorite place in the world. And it has been great for my pregnancy cravings. So
I was literally about to say, what are your pregnancy cravings right now?
Oh, it changes daily, but the chocolate covered strawberries have been great. Sour candy.
Lauren loves the sour candy from there. She told me that before we go to the hospital, I need to go pick up a whole thing of sour candy.
Put it in the hospital bag.
Yes. Oh my gosh. That's so great. That place is amazing. Yeah.
Yes.
What's one personality trait that helps young adults in your program thrive long term?
I think I kind of touched on this earlier, but the resiliency for sure. But I think it's most impactful when it's paired with some other traits.
Yes.
Like that humility, being able to say, hey, I need help. The willingness. A lot of them come in, they're very resilient, but they have had such big walls built up from their trauma that they're not going to allow anyone to help them. So that willingness to learn and to accept help. And that's something that takes a while for them to be able to open up, but resiliency for sure.
Yeah. Thank you for your time here today, friend. Yeah. Can you please let people know where they can go to be a part of what you're doing or see what you're doing and see any announcements, your social media accounts, your website, all that things. But also, if you have any upcoming events that you would like to promote, just so you know, we are recording in April, but I want to say you're at least podcast number maybe 14. So this will be released, I think, if I'm doing my math right, around May.
Okay.
End of May, maybe top of 2. So just keep that in mind for announcements.
Okay. I don't know where to start. Our website is getrealyou.org. It has links on there to contact, and I answer all the emails on there. Our Instagram page is getrealfs. We have a Facebook page. I try to keep them all pretty updated. We always have little things going on, like our prom or different things for the kids. We are taking sponsorship forms right now for Havana Nights. Whenever this comes out, we'll still be taking them. It will be Friday, October 3rd at the Marshall's Museum. It's going to be, we have a huge tent, string lights, all the things. Fun. Yes. Yes. So we hope that you mark your calendars for that. If you're interested in getting involved as a mentor, sponsor, donor, or you just want to learn more, I would love to grab coffee and do this with you, chat all about it. So yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Absolutely.
I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.